In 1958, the French national team, also known as Les Bleus, thrilled fans worldwide, writing a fairy tale at the World Cup on Swedish soil. Not highly rated before the tournament began, but with a generation of talented players and a fiery attacking style dubbed champagne football, they not only achieved third place, the best result in French football history at that time, but also dedicated themselves to a mesmerizing brand of football. They were true artists of the pitch, turning every match into a performance. But behind those moments of glory and historic goals were individuals with very unique destinies. Over 6 decades have passed. Time, like a flood, has washed away their youth, carving marks of ups and downs onto their lives. Some became immortal legends. Some chose the quiet life of a shop owner, and others had to stop their journey in regret. Let us turn back the pages of memory and step into the lives of the 12 musketeers who made up the soul of France's golden generation of 1958. Just Fontaine. Position: striker. In the 1958 French squad, Just Fontaine was a phenomenon, a true assassin in the penalty area. At 24, the Marrakesh-born young man did the unthinkable, scoring 13 goals in just 6 matches. With an innate ability to choose positions, blistering speed, and diverse finishing skills with both feet and head, Fontaine turned the 1958 World Cup into his own solo stage. He played not only with a pair of shoes borrowed from teammate Stéphane Brouet because his own were broken, but also with endless inspiration. Fontaine's performance that year was not only excellent, but unique, an eternal record challenging all limits of time. After the resounding success in Sweden, Fontaine's career at Stade de Reims continued to soar. He reached the European Cup final in 1959 and won more French league titles. However, tragedy struck when he was at the peak of his form. A horrific broken leg forced the man with no lungs to hang up his boots at just 28, the prime age of a player's life. Not surrendering to fate, Fontaine turned to a coaching career. He managed the French national team, Paris Saint-Germain, helping the team promote to Ligue 1, and especially the Moroccan national team, his second homeland. He was also a co-founder of the French Professional Players Union, UNFP, fighting tirelessly for the rights of his successors. Just Fontaine's personal life after the limelight was filled with optimism and laughter. He opened a sports store called Justo Sport and became a witty commentator and a respected grandfather in his family. Although the record of 13 goals was always attached to his name, Fontaine never showed arrogance. He lived a simple, happy life, always telling the story of the borrowed shoes as a beautiful memory of camaraderie. The generosity and the smile always on his lips made people forget the pain of his early retirement. It seems the sharpness of a pitch assassin transformed into sophistication in how he treated people. However, that glorious journey had to stop. On March 1st, 2023, Just Fontaine passed away at the age of 89 in Toulouse. His departure left a vast void in the hearts of football fans. The legacy he left behind is not only 13 historic goals, but also a story of resilience rising above adversity to live a full and meaningful life. Raymond Kopa. Position: attacking midfielder/forward. If Fontaine was the spearhead, Raymond Kopa was the genius brain of the 1958 French team. At 26, Kopa arrived at the World Cup as a star of the great Real Madrid. With a small stature but possessing dazzling dribbling skills, superb playmaking ability, and tactical thinking ahead of his time, Kopa was dubbed the Napoleon of football. He was the conductor of the play, delivering chances on a platter for Fontaine to shine. Kopa's performance in Sweden was a perfect combination of art and efficiency, helping him win the Ballon d'Or that same year, affirming his status as one of the greatest players of the century. Returning from the World Cup, Kopa continued to reap glory with Real Madrid, with 3 consecutive European Cups, before returning to his old home, Stade de Reims. He played persistently until retiring in 1967. Unlike many contemporaries who often faced financial difficulties after retiring, Kopa proved himself a sharp businessman. He was the first player to leverage his reputation to build a personal brand, establishing the Kopa Sports Group bearing his name, specializing in sportswear, which was extremely successful in France. Coming from a poor Polish immigrant family, having lost a finger while working in coal mines as a child, Kopa's life was an epic of rising up. The grit and resilience from those days of hard labor in the mines forged a brave Kopa on the pitch and in the marketplace. He lived his old age in absolute respect from the public, always appearing with the elegant look of a successful gentleman. He also actively participated in social activities, helping disadvantaged children. The intelligence and vision of a maestro on the pitch were applied to his life, helping him build a solid business empire. But then, the heart of the Napoleon of football also had to rest. On March 3, 2017, Raymond Kopa passed away at the age of 85 after a long battle with illness. He left, taking with him a part of the heroic history of French football, leaving posterity a lesson about the will to change destiny from empty hands. Roger Piantoni. Position: inside left/forward. Roger Piantoni was the third piece of the famous atomic trio of the 1958 French team, alongside Kopa and Fontaine. At 26, possessing an extremely obedient left foot and thunderous long shots, Piantoni was the terror of every defense. He scored, assisted, and contributed to the fiery attacking play of Les Bleus. The chemistry between him and his teammates came from playing together for Stade de Reims, creating a telepathic connection on the pitch. Piantoni was not just a good player, he was the catalyst that made the champagne style blossom most brilliantly. After the World Cup, Piantoni continued to be a pillar of Reims, dominating French football with the team and reaching the European Cup final. However, a serious knee injury in an international friendly robbed him of his speed and explosiveness, affecting his peak career. After leaving Reims, he moved to Nice to play the final years of his career. Leaving the pitch, Piantoni chose a quiet life, away from the noise of the media. He returned to Nancy, where he started his career, and worked as a sports commentator for television and radio. Piantoni's personal life was very simple. He was deeply attached to his native Lorraine region. People often saw him in the stands of the Marcel Picot Stadium in Nancy, watching over generations of young players. He was a symbol of loyalty and pure love for football. Contrary to the thunderous shots on the field, in real life, Piantoni was quiet, humble, and gentle. He always took time to sign autographs for fans and tell beautiful memories of the summer of 1958 with undisguised pride. He was the link between the heroic past and the present, a kind grandfather who always kept the flame of passion in his heart. However, the final whistle of his life also sounded. On May 26, 2018, Roger Piantoni passed away in Nancy at the age of 86. His departure marked the closing of an era as the final piece of that legendary attacking trio returned to eternity. Robert Jonquet. Position: center back/captain. Robert Jonquet, at 33, was the spiritual leader, the rock of the French defense at the 1958 World Cup. With a calm demeanor, excellent game-reading ability, and defensive command skills, he was likened to the hero of Highbury following a legendary performance against England previously. In Sweden, Jonquet was the most reliable stopper. His most tragic and heroic image was in the semi-final against Pelé's Brazil. Jonquet broke his leg after a collision, but because there were no substitutions allowed at the time, he was forced to take painkillers, bandage it up, and stand hobbling on the field as a winger so as not to leave his teammates playing a man down. After that emotional tournament, Jonquet continued to dedicate himself to Stade de Reims before moving to Strasbourg to end his illustrious career. He is considered one of the greatest center-backs in French football history. After hanging up his boots, Jonquet moved into coaching, leading Strasbourg and then returning to Reims. Although his coaching career was not as brilliant as his playing days, he always commanded absolute respect from his students thanks to his great character and profound knowledge of the art of defense. Jonquet's daily life reflected exactly who he was on the pitch: disciplined, serious, and full of responsibility. He did not participate in noisy business activities but spent time with his family and studying football. He was a typical family man, private and always protecting the privacy of his loved ones. His silent sacrifice in the 1958 semi-final seemed to become his destiny in life. Person always ready to shoulder difficulties and pain so that the collective could be whole. He lived his final years in the Reims region, where he was honored as a living monument. However, the journey of that brave captain came to a halt. On December 18, 2008, Robert Jonquet passed away at the age of 83. His departure evoked memories of the captain with the broken leg standing firm on the Swedish pitch, an eternal symbol of courage and the spirit of never giving up. Jean Vincent. Position, left winger. Jean Vincent, 27, at the 1958 World Cup, was the tornado on the left flank of the French team. With excellent speed, skillful technique, and pinpoint crosses, Vincent was the main provider for Fontaine and Copa. He played all 6 matches, scored 1 goal, and always maintained a burning enthusiasm. Vincent not only knew how to attack, but he also actively tracked back to support the defense, creating balance for France's attack-minded formation. He was an industrious, professional player who always burned with passion for the flag. After ending a glorious playing career at Reims with many championship titles, Jean Vincent turned to coaching, and this was when he truly created a massive legacy. He became the chief architect of FC Nantes' golden era, building the famous Jeu à la Nantaise, Nantes-style play, a style based on flexible movement, short and intelligent passing. He was also very successful leading the Cameroon national team at the 1982 World Cup in clubs in North Africa. Vincent was dubbed the football missionary, and bringing the philosophy of beautiful football around the world. In real life, Jean Vincent was a vibrant, open man, always full of positive energy. He had an amazing ability to inspire, not just players but also those around him. His life was full of journeys and new cultural experiences from Africa to the Middle East. He did not choose leisure but always sought new challenges. The flexibility and speed of a winger years ago turned into the dynamism and daring of a great coach. He lived fully with his passion, considering the pitch his home and the ball his soulmate. But then, the missionary's adventure also came to an end. On August 13, 2013, Jean Vincent passed away at the age of 82. He left, but the art for art's sake football philosophy he built at Nantes lives on, continuing to inspire generations of coaches and young players. Marian Wisniewski, position, right winger. Marian Wisniewski was the youngest in the 1958 French squad. At just 21, he secured a starting spot on the right wing thanks to natural talent. Like Copa, Wisniewski was of Polish origin, carrying the blood of miners from northern France. He possessed wind-tearing speed and dazzling dribbling ability, serving as a powerful support for the seniors in attack. Playing all 6 matches and scoring 2 goals, Wisniewski proved that age is just a number when you have talent and bravery. He represented youth and the desire to assert oneself of a new generation. Wisniewski's career after the World Cup spanned many big clubs like Lens, Sampdoria, Italy, Saint-Étienne, and Sochaux. Moving to Italy to play at that time was a bold step, showing his courage and desire to reach the Big C. Although he did not win as many collective titles as his teammates at Reims, Wisniewski was always rated as one of the best wingers of his generation. After retiring, he chose a peaceful life, away from the football spotlight, returning to the sunny and windy Provence region to enjoy his old age. Wisniewski was quite private about his personal life. He did not participate in coaching or media, but spent time with his family and his passion for tennis and pétanque. His life passed peacefully, in stark contrast to the fiery sprints on the pitch years ago. He was the last living witness of the starting lineup in the semi-final against Brazil in 1958 for a long time. His simplicity and humility made people cherish even more a star who once rocked Europe but chose a reclusive lifestyle in old age. However, the law of life and death spares no one. On March 3, 2022, Marian Wisniewski passed away in Carpentras at the age of 85. His passing was also the final farewell of a golden generation, closing the heroic historical pages of French football in the 50s. Armand Penverne. Position: defensive midfielder/defender. Armand Penverne, 31 at the 1958 World Cup, was the man with no lungs of the French team. Playing as a defensive midfielder and sometimes a defender, he was a key anchor, the one who silently cleaned up so the artists above could shine. Penverne wore the captain's armband in the third-place playoff when Jonquet was injured, demonstrating great prestige and influence in the dressing room. He was a diligent, self-sacrificing player, unafraid of collisions and possessing abundant stamina. His role was quiet but irreplaceable in Les Bleus' tactical system. After the glory in Sweden, Penverne continued to play for Reims, winning another national championship and reaching the European Cup final in 1959. Later, he moved to Red Star and Limoges as a player coach. Upon retiring, he continued his managerial career, leading teams like Marseille for a short period and local teams. Penvern also tried his hand at business and acted as a representative for a sports brand, showing dynamism and good adaptability to life after football. In real life, Armand Penvern was a man of work, serious and full of responsibility. Born in Brittany, he carried the character of the coastal people. Tough, steadfast, and sincere. He lived a life not too noisy but full of meaning, always respected by old teammates for his dedication. The image of a silent warrior on the pitch translated into his life, turning him into a solid pillar for his family and community. He spent his final years in Marseille, where he found peace by the Mediterranean. However, the journey of that diligent captain came to a stop. On February 27, 2012, Armand Penvern passed away at the age of 85. His passing reminds us of the value of silent heroes, the foundational figures who allow glory to shine. Jean-Jacques Marcel, position, center-back/midfielder. Jean-Jacques Marcel, 27, was a versatile player who could play well as both a center-back and a midfielder. At the 1958 World Cup, he was a pillar of the defense, playing 5 matches with certainty and intelligence. Marcel stood out with good aerial ability, technical play, and precise attacking passes from the back. He was a modern defender who not only knew how to clear the ball but also how to play it. Marcel's calmness helped balance the spontaneity of the attack, creating a harmonious French team. Marcel's club career was linked to Marseille, Sochaux, and Toulon. He was one of the rare players of that generation to play professionally until the age of 34. After hanging up his boots, Marcel returned to his hometown of Brignoles and took over the family wine business. He became a successful wine merchant, taking fine wines from Provence everywhere. This shift showed he was a man of intellect, who knew how to cherish traditional values and had foresight. Marcel's personal life was very peaceful and prosperous. He lived amidst vast vineyards, enjoying the life of a landowner. The elegance and sophistication in his playing style were now expressed through the way he enjoyed and traded wine. He rarely appeared in football media, but always maintained good contact with old teammates. Marcel is proof that a football player can be brilliantly successful in a completely different field after retiring. But then, life is like a bottle of wine, sometimes full, sometimes empty. On October 3, 2014, Jean-Jacques Marcel passed away at the age of 83. He left behind the sweet aftertaste of an illustrious football career and the success of a talented businessman. Raymond Cailbel, position, center-back. Raymond Cailbel, 26, was another rock in the French defense. Hailing from the Alsace region, Cailbel carried the discipline and strength characteristic of this land. He played all 6 matches at the 1958 World Cup, directly facing the best strikers in the world at that time. With an ideal physique and aggressive play, unafraid of collisions, Cailbel was a terror to opponents in duels. He and Jonquet formed a solid wall in front of the goal. After the World Cup, Cailbel continued to have a brilliantly successful career with AS Monaco and later returned to Strasbourg. He was a key member of the Monaco squad that won the double in 1963. After retiring, Cailbel did not follow a coaching career but chose a small business path. He opened a bar and tobacco shop in Strasbourg, becoming a familiar gathering place for local football lovers. He enjoyed a social life, chatting daily with customers about football and life. Raymond Cailbel was funny, forthright, and very approachable. He never considered himself a star, but always viewed himself as a friend to everyone. The strength and grit on the pitch were replaced by the hospitality and hearty laughter of a bar owner. His life passed simply but full of laughter and the affection of hometown fans. He was a symbol of Alsatian football, an outstanding son who always looked towards his roots. However, that journey also had to stop. On April 17, 2007, Raymond Cailbel passed away at the age of 75. His passing left an unforgettable longing for the Strasbourg community, where they lost a friend, a close and dear legend. André Lerond, position, left back. André Lerond, 27, was the reliable stopper on the left flank. Unlike many defenders of that time who only knew how to defend, Lerond possessed very good personal technique and the ability to join the attack effectively. He played all 6 matches in the tournament, showing amazing stability. Lerond was a player who played with a cool head and a hot heart, always keeping calm in the most tense situations. He was a silent leader who always covered and corrected mistakes for teammates. Laurent's career was linked to Lyon and later Stade Francais. He was an exemplary captain of Lyon for many years, contributing greatly to building the foundation for this club. After retiring, Laurent worked in the paper and packaging industry, becoming a successful sales director. He was an educated man, with logical thinking and good management skills, qualities that helped him succeed both on the pitch and in business. Laurent's private life was very discreet. He was humble and spoke little about himself. He spent most of his free time with his family and on elegant personal hobbies. The composure and certainty of a left-back followed him throughout his life, helping him steer his work and family through all storms. He was respected for his integrity and exemplary lifestyle. But then, the old guard also had to rest. On April 8, 2018, André Laurent passed away at the age of 87. He departed peacefully, leaving a legacy of an intelligent defender and a noble character. Claude Abbas. Position, goalkeeper. Claude Abbas, 31, started the tournament on the bench, but took the starting spot for the last 4 important matches, including the semi-final and the third-place playoff. He was the goalkeeper of Saint-Étienne, famous for his bravery and excellent reflexes. Although not possessing an ideal height, Abbas compensated with positioning ability and reasonable movement. He was the final stop, bringing peace of mind to his teammates with his calmness and vast experience. After the World Cup, Abbas continued to be a legend of Saint-Étienne, helping the team win its first national championship and Coupe de France in history. What was particularly interesting about Abbas was that he was also a professional engineer. After retiring, he worked at the Nuclear Research Center in Saclay. This was an extremely rare career turn for a football player, showing his profound intellect and ability to learn ceaselessly. He was living proof that football players do not just have muscles. Abbas' life after football leaned towards intellect and research. He lived quietly, passionate about science and engineering. The precision and meticulousness of a goalkeeper and an engineer blended in him. He rarely appeared at flashy football events, preferring the quiet of the laboratory and family. He was a true intellectual in the world of shorts and jerseys. However, the journey of that talented engineer stopped. On April 11, 2008, Claude Abbas passed away at the age of 80. His passing was a loss to both worlds, football and science and technology. Yvon Douys, position, striker. Yvon Douys, 23, was a young striker full of promise. Although he only played 1 match at the 1958 World Cup, the third-place playoff against West Germany, he managed to leave his mark with a goal, contributing to the historic 6-3 victory. Douys possessed good technique, sharp finishing ability, and modern football thinking. The fact that he played little was not due to a lack of talent, but because the shadow of the Copa, Fontaine-Piantoni trio, was too large. He was an asset for the future of French football at that time. Douys' subsequent career was very successful. He wore the shirts of Lille, Le Havre, Monaco, and Caen, twice voted French Player of the Year, a great honor. He was one of the best strikers in Ligue 1 in the 60s. After retiring, he lived a simple life in Nice, away from the noise. He frequently participated in charity matches and maintained good relationships with old teammates. Douys was gentle, likable, and always optimistic. He was satisfied with his role in history, even if it was just a supporting role in the 1958 epic, but a leading role in his own career. He enjoyed his old age on the beautiful Riviera coast, living in harmony with his neighbors. He was one of the last living members of the 1958 squad to witness the changes in world football over many decades. But then, the final candle flickered out. On January 28, 2021, Yvon Douys passed away at the age of 85 due to complications from COVID-19. His passing closed the final pages of the chronicle of the first golden generation of French football.